The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Listen to me. Get the mic hot. It is Sunday, January 25th, 2026, and the world is screaming, but nobody's listening because they've got their heads buried in the sand and their pockets filled with globalist plastic.
It's a heavy day, Ray. Truly heavy. We're staring into the abyss of institutional collapse, and roughly speaking, the abyss is starting to stare back with a very predatory intent.
It's not just staring, Walter. It's biting. We have a massive show today, a total deep dive into 8 tectonic shifts in the American machine. I'm talking about the gambling lobby taking over Texas, the literal de-legitimization of federal law enforcement, and listen to me, the 2030 death crossover. It's over for humanity if we don't wake up.
We have a lot to cover. It's no joke, man. Yesterday was emotionally taxing. Seeing the Navy apologize for those vaccine mandates. Seeing the restoration of the individual's sovereignty over their own biology. It was a beautiful thing. It moved me to my core. But then the darkness of the Maduro capture and those acoustic weapons, we're playing with frequencies we don't understand, Ray. We're losing the sense of the person.
Maduro was a pawn, Walter, a distraction from the fact that they're trying to tax your losing bets while the border is a sieve. But we're getting into it. I'm digging into the documents I have right here on my desk. They don't want you to know what's in these white papers, but I'm gonna scream it until my throat bleeds. Listen, the machine is reforming itself into a monster.
Right.
The gambling, Walter. The gambling. Listen, they passed this, and I use the term loosely, One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the OBBBA. They told you it was for the people, right? Wrong. As of January 1st, they capped gambling loss deductions at 90%. Is that right? Yes. So if you're a guy who bets $100,000 and you lose $100,000, you're even, right? Wrong. In the eyes of the globalist IRS, you just made $10,000 in phantom income. They're taxing you on money you don't have.
It's a manifestation of the devouring mother, Ray. The state doesn't just want its share. It wants to punish the risk taker. It's an inversion of the meritocratic ideal.
It's a shakedown. And look at the lobbyists. I have the records. Las Vegas Sands. Listen to this. They have 103 lobbyists in Austin, Texas right now. 4 years ago, they had 19. They are swarming the state houses like locusts because the Federal Fair Bet Act just got killed in the House Rules Committee yesterday. Dina Titus tried to fix it, and the machine shut her down.
Well, that's the thing. It's bloody complicated because you have these interests, these massive hierarchical structures of vice that are now the primary financiers of the legislative agenda. When the state becomes dependent on the House winning, the citizen becomes the ultimate loser. It's a pathological relationship. Roughly speaking, the House is no longer the people's house, it's the casino's house. But we have to look at the enforcement side too, because the structure of law itself is being dismantled.
Oh, yeah?
It's truly terrifying what's happening in Arizona. Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays has spent the last few days essentially asserting that ICE agents, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, are not real law enforcement.
Not real? Are you kidding me?
No, it's no joke. She's part of this de-recognition strategy. It's not just Arizona either. New York City's new mayor, Zoran Mamdani, who just took office a few days ago, is calling for the total abolition of the agency. He's calling them terrorists.
Terrorists? The guys catching the human-animal hybrids and the fentanyl smugglers are the terrorists? Listen to me. This is a coordinated strike. They want to strip the legal standing of the only people standing between us and the interdimensional vampire hordes.
It's the dismantling of the logos, Ray. If you can simply decide that a federally mandated officer of the law isn't a real officer because their mission offends your ideological possession, then you don't have a civilization anymore. You have a series of warring tribes. It's no joke. The ICE agents are operating under Form I-200, which are civil administrative warrants. To call them lawless is a direct assault on the concept of objective reality. It makes me want to weep for the State of the Union.
They want conflict, Walter. They want the state police to shoot the federal agents. They're inciting a civil war so they can declare martial law and force everyone into the 15-minute cities. And it's because of the 2030 crossover. They are panicking.
Well, let's talk about that crossover, because this is the most sobering thing I've read in years. The Congressional Budget Office released data this month confirming that by 2030, deaths in the United States will exceed births. For the first time in our history, our growth is entirely dependent on net immigration. The fertility rate is at 1.6, Ray. 1.6.
Because they're poisoning the water. They're putting estrogen in the soy. They're hitting us with the frequency weapons to shut down the reproductive drive.
It's the collapse of the individual's desire to manifest the future. I see these young men and they're so lost. They're so disconnected from the responsibility of fatherhood because the culture has told them that being a man is toxic. And now the demographic bill is coming due. Families are fleeing the core. New York, California, not just because of taxes, but because they can't afford to exist in the architecture of the postmodern state.
880,000 people have fled New York City. They're going to Boise. They're going to Knoxville. They'd rather live in a wildfire zone in Idaho than spend one more day in a city that hates them.
It's a tragedy. Roughly speaking, the exodus is a search for meaning, but the media won't tell you that. They're too busy setting up litmus tests for comedians.
Oh, I have the documents on this one. Beverly Hills, the Fine Arts Theater. They tried to cancel Israeli comedian Guy Hotchman. And get this, they actually admitted to asking him for political declarations as a condition for him to perform.
Right.
A litmus test. Are you a good little globalist? No? Then no jokes for you. Michael S. Hall, the president of the theater, had to issue an apology yesterday, but the damage is done. The common sense take here is that cancel culture isn't just a mob on Twitter anymore. It's an institutional screening process.
It's the exclusion of the other. If you don't bow to the ideological orthodoxy, you are unpersoned. It's what Dostoevsky warned us about, the substitution of a living, breathing reality for a cold ideological abstraction. It's happening in sports too, with Eileen Gu, born in America, trained in America, and then she goes and competes for China in the 2026 Winter Games.
Treason! Plain and simple. But the media treats it like it's a nuanced choice. It's not nuanced. It's a betrayal of the soil that fed you. Just like this EV scam. Walter, tell them why their tax dollars are being burned in a pile.
Well, that's the thing. Senator Deb Fischer just released a report that's absolutely devastating to the green narrative. A study from the National Bureau of Economic Research shows that 70% of people who got an EV tax credit would have bought the car anyway. We are handing out billions of dollars to the most affluent members of the hierarchy, while the Highway Trust Fund is going to be insolvent by 2028.
Because they don't pay gas tax. They're literal parasites on the infrastructure.
It's an artificial market, Ray. Ford took a $19.5 billion write-down on its EV business. That is a staggering amount of capital that has essentially evaporated. And Hyundai, they're slashing $9,800 off the price of the 2026 Ioniq just to get people to look at it. The market is screaming, but the bureaucrats, they only hear the voice of the utopia they've constructed in their heads. And it's not just the car market. It's the Silicon Soul itself. Ray, you saw the Scarlett Johansson news?
I saw it. I had the white papers on the AI data scraping. Over 800 creators, Johansson, Kate Blanchett, Questlove, they launched the Stealing Isn't Innovation campaign on Thursday.
Uh-huh.
They're finally fighting back. They're saying you can't just feed our lives into a black box to create AI slop. 60 active lawsuits. Anthropic just had to settle for $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion, Walter.
It's the Wizard of AI effect. We hide human bias and human theft behind an automated curtain and call it progress. But progress to what? A world where no human effort has value? It's no joke, man. If we outsource our creativity to the machine, we're essentially vacating our own souls. But let's shift to something more mundane, but equally illustrative of the decay. The tipping crisis.
Oh, I'm ready for this. New York City again.
A federal judge just rejected a bid by the delivery apps, DoorDash, Uber Eats, to block a new law. And this law, it's bloody unbelievable. It mandates that apps prompt for tips before checkout, not after.
They're trying to mandate a 10% minimum tip at the start? What happened to service for a reward? Now it's just a tax. 9 out of 10 Americans say tipping culture's out of control, and the government's response is to make it mandatory?
It increases hostility, Ray. When you legislate a discretionary courtesy, you strip the virtue from the act. It becomes an obligation, and obligation breeds resentment. Roughly speaking, we're seeing this resentment spill over into the commons, youth sports as battlegrounds, violence, and online marketplaces. The decorum deficit is a signal that the social contract has been shredded.
It's because the globalists want us fighting each other over a $1 tip, so we don't look at what they're doing with the military.
Is that right? Well, let's look at it then, because the 2026 National Defense Strategy it's the most significant shift in American military doctrine in 40 years.
The big one. Listen to me. This document came out on Friday, the NDS. For 40 years, the goal was global policemen. We were the ones patrolling every inch of the planet. But now, the pivot. The document says we are moving to Homeland Defense and Western Hemisphere dominance.
It's the Homeland First pivot.
Listen to this. China? They've been downgraded to line of effort number 2. We aren't even calling them the primary threat anymore. The primary threat is the defense of the homeland. And the Taiwan omission? Walter, look at the documents. It doesn't mention Taiwan once. Not one time.
And that's where I have to disagree with the common sense cheerleading here, Ray. I really do.
Disagree? With America first? Are you kidding me?
No. Listen to me. Roughly speaking, when you have a world order built on the logos of treaties and long-term security guarantees, you can't just delete a line of the script and expect the play to continue. If we omit Taiwan from the national defense strategy, we are creating a vacuum, and vacuums in the geopolitical sphere are filled by monsters. It's no joke. If the word of the United States means nothing in the Indo-Pacific, then the hierarchy of the world collapses into pure, raw power.
The power is already raw, Walter. We're spending trillions protecting Iraq while our own kids are dying of fentanyl. The white papers show the industrial base is rusted. We don't even have the steel to build the ships we promised. This NDS says we're banning defense contractors from stock buybacks. They have to actually build the missiles now instead of just inflating their share price. That's common sense.
I'm not defending the stock buybacks, Ray. That's a pathological greed. But the Fortress America idea? It's a form of isolationism that assumes the rest of the world will just leave us alone if we stay behind our wall. But we saw in the 1930s that it doesn't work that way. If you let the archetypal monster grow in the East, it eventually comes for your wall.
We are the ones who built the monsters, Walter. We funded them. We gave them our manufacturing. This 2026 NDS is about taking it back. We're securing the Panama Canal. We're securing Greenland. We're turning the Western Hemisphere into a fortress of steel. Trump's Board of Peace, the BOP, is telling the allies, hey, you want protection? Pay up. Put some skin in the game.
But pay-to-play diplomacy isn't diplomacy, Ray. It's a protection racket. And while it might satisfy the transactional urge in the short term, it destroys the moral authority of the leader. If we treat our allies like customers instead of brothers in arms, then we're just another empire. We aren't the shining city on a hill anymore. We're just a bank with a big army.
Good. I'm tired of being the city on a hill for people who want to burn the hill down. We have 28,500 troops in South Korea. For what? To protect a Samsung factory while our factories are empty? The NDS says strategic flexibility. It means those boys are coming home to guard the border.
But Ray, the border isn't just a physical line. It's a conceptual one. If we don't stand for the principle of sovereignty abroad, how can we demand it at home? It's a bloody mess. We're telling Japan and South Korea they have primary responsibility, but they don't have the architecture to do it. We're inviting chaos.
We are the chaos, Walter. Look at the documents. We've been the ones poking the hornet's nest for 30 years. This is about peace through strength, but it's our strength, not the UN strength, not Davos's strength. I love that we're focusing on the Western Hemisphere. Let China have their side of the pod. We have our side.
It won't stay on their side, Ray. It's the tragedy of the global system. You can't be half pregnant with isolationism. Once the rules-based order is dead, and this NDS might be the death certificate, then it's every man for himself. And roughly speaking, the biggest man in the room is usually the one who's willing to be the most ruthless. I'm worried we're abdicating the throne of the world to the dark side of the human spirit.
We aren't abdicating, we're retooling. The NDS is forcing the arsenal of democracy to actually work again. No more stock buybacks. No more fancy PowerPoint presentations for weapons that don't fire. We are rebuilding the industrial soul of this nation. That's how you get the youth back, Walter. Give them a job building a missile that works.
Perhaps. But the moral cost of that transactional shift, it haunts me. It's like seeing a father tell his children they have to pay for dinner. It might be economically sound, but it breaks the spirit of the family.
The family is already broken, Walter. They're trying to replace us by 2030. We have to survive first. You need to slam a bottle of brain force and see the map for what it is. The documents are clear. We're in a fight for the existence of the Western soul.
Well, that's the thing. The soul isn't found in a missile silo, Ray. It's found in the logos, in the truth. But I suppose if the machine is this broken, a retooling is better than a total collapse. It's bloody complicated.
It's not complicated, it's Sunday. And we've covered more ground than a delivery driver with a mandatory tip.
Is that right? Well, I suppose we've given the people enough to think about. It's no joke. The 2030 crossover is the real dragon we have to slay.
Slay it with bone broth and common sense. Listen to me. Tomorrow we're going deep on the human-animal hybrids they're breeding in the basement of the Super Bowl stadium. Don't miss it.
Ray, please. Roughly speaking, we'll be back with more. Architecture of Being, tomorrow.
And if you see a globalist, tell them the 2026 NDS says, "Get off my lawn." We're out of here.
Clean your room, everyone, and God help us all. It's a long way to 2030.
Get me a steak. The lion diet is calling.